Hello my friends, it's Andre here again. It's Thursday. Oh, is it Thursday? It's Thursday, yeah. And that only means one thing. It's another stream here and another time that I cannot switch the music off. Here we go, now we're fine. So it's Thursday again, Thursday 4 p.m. Central European time, and that means it's time for another live stream. And I really like these time frames because it helps me to get back into code, do code stuff for at least an hour and not be disturbed by anything, just really focus on one simple thing that I always try to outline in the tweets about the stream. And today I want to go again back to static and static site generation for Jamstack. And last week I actually had a guest here, Dave Glick, and we're trying to generate PDFs in one part of the generation process of the static site based on static framework. Now, last time, as you probably know if you watched, we did not succeed. And the main problem was that we were not able to generate the PDF files using the .NET Core only. Now we were trying to figure out another library to do the generation, but that didn't work. It's this lib, how is it called? But that didn't work, so I'm just going to remove it overall, and we're going to remove the reference as well. But I actually had a great idea, or we'll see if that idea was great. But I had an idea that we don't really need to implement that thing if we're able to get the PDF from an online service that we would just send the HTML file to and get back a PDF. Problem solved. We don't have to implement anything, just the communication, and it's happening during the build process. So it wouldn't slow down the site. Yeah. So I'm just going to try to do that today. We'll see if there is a service that is able to generate PDF files from HTML. And if there is not a service that would work for my use case, I'm going to try to create one using the Web API. Now, with Web API, it's easy. If we use the normal .NET framework, the libraries are supported there. So it's not a problem to take that app, deploy it on Azure Cloud. Even the free tier, it's perfectly fine if there is something like a supporting service, right? It's not a live site that needs to be up and running all the time, but something that would be only accessed during the build. So the worst case scenario, I'm just going to take that and I'm just going to create a new Web API project and create the service myself. But let's see. First of all, I want to start a project. I haven't seen it for a week, so I'm just going to start it in Visual Studio Code. Okay, now on the wrong screen, obviously. Here we go. So this is where we ended last time, right? There were some problems because this code doesn't work. So I'm just going to take it out. So that was the synchronized converter, this whole thing. And then PDF bytes, and that was it. So here we actually need to generate PDF from HTML. Now we have the HTML in the data variable here. So we need to provide a stream, it's called PDF bytes here. We need to provide that stream and create the document based on that. So this was not working last time because the libraries were just not there. It complained about not having the C++ redistributable library installed. So all kinds of errors. So that's why I want to take a look here today how to mitigate this problem. Now let's see. Okay, here we go. Let's see if there is actually a good free service that turns PDF or HTML to PDF API, and that would be free because obviously I have zero budget for this project, so I want as many things as I can to be free. Now I've already looked at some, you see by the color of these links, and it seems like all of them are quite aggressively paid. Like they have quite aggressive policies around paying for it. And I found one. No, this was not it. I found one that was quite generous. Maybe it was this one. Yeah. So this one allows actually 250 conversions per month with a free plan. Now, I have 5 documents, 5 content items in my headless CMS right now. I have 5 pages that the static generates, which means I have 250 divided by 5. I have 50 tries. I can try this 50 times to see if this is going to work for me. And if it will, then I can move on to $9 per month for 2.5 thousand conversions per month, which is quite affordable, I think. It's definitely easier than building my own service, but we'll see. We can get to that later. Now I'm just gonna register here. Okay, I'm gonna use a real name and real not password, but real email. So I'm just gonna take it out for a moment. Or, you know, I can actually use my dummy email, but I'm not gonna show that one either. So just give me a second. I'm just gonna register here. Perfect. Here we go. Here we go. Now I got the API key here. There we go. So I got the API key and I can now generate 250 PDFs. Now what I need is some kind of documentation. Like, where do I find upgrade? Okay, maybe on the homepage. Yeah. So how to use it in my application? Just send the following HTTP request to get the PDF. So I guess we should be able, so here we are in a .NET Core. So here we need to do the request for this URL. Now I'm gonna prepare the URL with the API key. Okay. Now this requires me to provide a URL. Now I don't have a URL. So can I do it? Okay, get started. Yeah, can I? I actually want to send the HTML. Here we go. Here's the data string. So in PHP, okay, let me see if there is, oh, there is no C# example. All right. So let's take a look at PHP. That's probably the closest one to me, because this one is only about converting the URL, right? HTML is the URL. HTML, okay. So in HTML, this is a HTML code or website URL you want to generate. So we can pass in the HTML code, that's fine. API key, that's quite clear. But I don't think that we can send that. So how do we send this as real data? Let me see the Node example here. So Node is probably the closest one to JavaScript, right? So that one should be understandable. So here we're doing a post request, yeah? We're doing the post request to this URL, and we are providing the HTML here. That makes sense. So we need to use the post, and in the JSON, so does it feature here, JSON? No, it doesn't. So here in the JSON, we are just sending 2 parameters. One is HTML with the HTML code, and the other one is API key with the API key. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to do .NET Core post request JSON. So I just want to make sure that I get the syntax right. Let's see this one. Now, if you're looking for something similar, but in JavaScript, feel free to look at my website /fetch API cheat sheet. This one is a cheat sheet based on an article that I wrote for FreeCodeCamp that contains a cheat sheet for doing requests in JavaScript or Node with fetch. So if I could have used that in .NET Core, I could have just taken it from here. Yeah, a lot of data. A lot of the use cases are covered here. But I'm looking for .NET Core now, so I'm gonna have to look at Stack Overflow for that. So I want to send a dynamic object like this. As body of HTTP post message, blah, 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 show me. Here we go. So you can use standard posts async method. Okay, that sounds like something I want to do. JSON convert serialize your object. JSON. So anyway, we're probably gonna need the HTTP client. Or let's try. Okay, now there has to be some kind of a official resource, maybe here. Create the REST client using .NET Core. Okay, let's see. Okay, HTTP client. Processing the JSON result. No, not what I want to do. Okay, maybe we really need another fetch API guide for .NET Core. Why can't I find this stupid easy thing? Okay, here we go. Steve J. Gordon. I actually know this guy. Yeah, I met Steve on an update conference. He's a very decent fella. I had a great chat with him. Nice. So you see, maybe we'll end up using his code here. Stream, yeah, with Newtonsoft JSON. Get async. No, not what I want to do. Not what I want to do. Yeah, this is what I want to do. Requesting JSON via HTTP client. Get from JSON. Okay, so this allows me to get the data into a specific object. Now, that's not what I want to do. I want to send the data there. Yeah, I want to send it there. We'll see what we get in return, but I want to send the data there. Handling JSON from HTTP content, posting JSON data. That's what I want to do. Perfect. So how do I, view raw. Okay, we're gonna probably have to create the HTTP client, but that's easy. So post user. This is just the data string here. So let's see, first create the client. So HTTP client. Yeah. So new HTTP client. And here, I guess, okay, what's the problem here? So post async. Okay, there is no extension for post as JSON, but that's fine. String request URI and HTTP content. So here we can add the URL. So let me see. I guess this is the right URL. Actually do it this way. And then we need HTTP content. So I guess what we can do is create it manually. HTML and API key. Okay, how do we create an anonymous object? I guess we can just build it this way. So what if I do it this way, like HTML, but I would have to escape it then. Yeah, that's probably not what I wanted to do. Yeah, let's create an anonymous object, .NET Core anonymous type. Yeah, that's what I want. Let's try this one. Okay, so just use the new keyword and just like with JSON. So what we can do is the same as here, but we'll call the object data. And I'm just gonna create here HTML, which is going to be data. Oh, we already have that one here. Okay, so let's call this one HTML. So HTML is going to be HTML. And then, oh, what's wrong? Oh, okay, we don't do the JSON quotes here. So just HTML equals HTML. Okay, like this. And then we do API key equals the API key. So I'm going to copy the API key from the site again. Here we go. Now, of course, this should go to config file, but let's keep it here to make this simple. Okay, now he likes it. So that's good. I can remove this thing, and here we need HTTP content. So how do we create HTTP content? HTTP content JSON. Okay, so we want to convert this into serialized JSON object. So let's call that JSON data. So we're going to install Newtonsoft JSON serialize object, and this is going to be data. So we got the JSON here. Now we just want the JSON to be an HTTP content. Okay, here we go. HTTP content, new string content, JSON data, encoding UTF-8, and application JSON. This is what I want. We're gonna need encoding here, so system.text. And I think we are good to go. This is string content. So here we are fine with HTTP content. And that's all we need to do, I assume. Okay, so we await this. Post response ensure status code. So now we need to know what we get as a response. So we got the content type here, application JSON. Let me see if we have that here. Yeah, that's. I think this is sufficient here. Now we need to know what we get as a response. So what does this say? Just send the HTTP request to get the PDF. You know, we can actually try this. So we're gonna add here the API key. I think I copied it here. Invalid URL. Okay, example.com is not a valid URL, that's obvious. So let's try google.com. Okay, now we get back the PDF. That makes sense. Okay. Now let's see, we should have one PDF generated here. No, 0. Maybe this is this has some kind of a delay. Yeah, here we go. Generated 1. Perfect. So we get the PDF as a response. So what do we do with that here? We can actually try to Google for that. .NET Core download file from URL. I think the response is going to be very similar if this just downloads the data from the URL. So let's see. Okay, so this is using client, HTTP client. Okay, read as byte array async. This is probably what I'm looking for. So client get async. Result is success. So if post response is success status code is what I'm looking for. Then delete this one. And in here, we actually want to get the post response dot content dot read as. Of course, we don't want to return it, but this is the byte array. So PDF, we can call this PDF bytes. And then we need to do the rest here. So we need to make a stream out of that, out of the PDF bytes. PDF doc is create document. Or isn't it? Okay, execution context, that's what we get from static. Document source, we change the file name and we should be good. And in the end, we return the iDocument. Okay, this is not very handy as we have it in one if. So what we could do instead is just put here throw new exception, unable to fetch PDF. This is not very descriptive, but we'll know where the problem is. And as a result, we can do the rest here without the ugly if. All right, now we return the PDF. And what's the problem here? I think I forgot somewhere something. 1, 2, 3, and one bracket. Yeah, I'm missing one bracket, I think. Or aren't I? What did you expect here? New execute config. Post response is okay. PDF bytes. Maybe here is a mistake somewhere. No, this is good. iDocument. Should be fine. What's wrong? Another. Okay, I gotta make this one a bit bigger to see everything. So here we have the data. Here we're converting that. Post response is status code. This should all be fine. iDocument. Why doesn't he not like the semicolon? No. This one finishes the new execute config. And then this finalizes the whole thing. Okay, now he's happy. No. Invalid expression term. The name objects does not exist in the current context. Unreachable code detected. Invalid expression turn the name objects. Where is it? The name objects does not exist in the current context. Where? So this is the async. Which we are finishing here. And then we're closing the execution context, execute config. So 2 brackets. What's there not to like? Renderizer. Oh, okay. So he's got a execute config. Now this should be fine. From document. No, this is also not what he wants. Unreachable code detected. So let me just open it again. Articles, pipeline. No, he still doesn't like it. So here we're returning the iDocument, which should all be fine. So what's wrong here? You know, this is really not at all helpful. It tells you invalid expression term starting bracket, but this is just bullshit. Because there is no one here. Show me where. Show me where. It's not showing me where the problem is. No. We got input modules, we got process modules, articles pipeline, let's try to remove the whole process modules. See if he's going to shut up. No, he still doesn't like it. Why not? Input modules, output modules. What is going on here? I'm just gonna store this somewhere so I don't lose this code. Let's try this. So I just want to see if this is gonna go away with rebuild. Okay, this is fine because we did not add any processing. So what is it that he still don't likes? This is just bullshit. Okay, I'm just gonna restart Visual Studio Code to see if the problem is there. Okay, now he's happy about it. So, oh man, I really hate these things. that when you restart the software, the problem suddenly goes away. But okay, let's just take the code, put it back in. Process modules are now, well, it seems like he's happy now. Okay, so let's see if this works. So with every document, we're trying to get the PDF from the service and save it. Okay, this was too easy. Let's see if something happens. So output here, article. Okay, now we got the PDF files here. And the PDF file contains whatever I needed. So this was really easy. Wow, this is actually very cool. This is very cool, guys. And it looks the same, nice. Okay, so this was, wow. I did not expect to have this done in half an hour. Nice. Let's see if this actually registered what I did. Yeah, 6 generated files, so I can go ahead and do it a bunch of more times, but this is very good. Obviously, this these files don't have any styling on them, right? But we can easily change that. Like if you see here, I just commented out everything and kept only the model title here. But we can also put here model.content, for example. Yeah, we'll see what that does. But just to show you that this is really changing the PDFs. Let's see actually. That takes a little while, but as long as the service is running, this is all gonna happen during build, so it doesn't really affect your site. Look at that. So article, look at G. Yeah, this is an HTML, yeah, but this HTML is in a raw form. So obviously this is not ideal and it's rendered the same way. But what if we change this and just render? I think that there is a something like add raw or something. Now let me, you know what? I'm just gonna Google for content static lumen. Because I know, yeah, a colleague of mine has already created the starter. So I want to check how his razor looks like. So maybe it's an input. Yeah. Let's see. I think it might be in post. Yeah, HTML raw article content. This is exactly what I'm looking for. So I'm just going to put it here. And we can try it again. It's so cool when something just works. Oh, not article. Oops. Stop it. Model.content in my case. In his case, how come in his case it's article? Oh, he's doing some stuff here. So he's got more stuff in the model. I only have the article model, so let's try it again. The cool stuff is that if everything just works, you do some little tweaks and just run the whole thing again, and it works and you see the changes. This is very cool. This is what I like about development, not when stuff is broken and it takes you a long time to fix it, but let's see. Cool, now even with the image here, yeah, it looks awful, obviously, because we don't have any styles in yet, but let's take a look at the PDF. Now this is awesome. Hassle-free PDF deployed. This is very cool. But what I think is also gonna happen is, now when we look here, I'm not sure if I actually put in any assets yet. I don't think so. actually. Yeah. So what actually happens is that we're probably gonna need some front end styles as well. Let's take a look at this one. I think I already did. Oh, or let's take a look at how it's done in the starter. So we're looking at the starter on GitHub. I want to see where would you put the CSS? Okay, fixed styles, extensions. Icon extensions. No, not the one. Properties, resolver, stack helpers, input. I don't know, honestly. Where would you put the CSS files? We can search here. Or it might be Sass, actually. Dark mode. So CSS maybe? No. So where does he have styles? App settings. Okay, let's take a look again at, oh, here it is. Okay, input assets. Input assets, all the assets are here. SCSS. You know what? I'm actually gonna do it a different way. I'm just gonna take the whole thing here. I'm gonna clone it. So let's call that. Okay, I'm just gonna close my Visual Studio and call this, because both the repositories are named the same way, right? So I'm just gonna call this one .mine. And I'm gonna clone his repo here. So git clone. Now I'm gonna hope that my project meets the criteria for this template. Okay, this is done. Let's see. Maybe it's in app settings. I would expect that to be in the app settings. Oh, he already provided the project ID. Nice. So I don't have to do anything. I just need to do, oh, not get bash here. No. Oops. Yes. I want to open Visual Studio Code here. So, you know, I don't have to meddle with all the styles, and this is already done. So it should be as easy as running a .NET Core here. .NET run. Yeah, okay. Required assets to build and debug are missing from static content. Yes. Restore completed. Okay, now my antivirus is screaming that something's happening. Here we got some other data here. So this is actually running the build, it seems. Okay. Restore happened successfully. So let's see. So we got finally some outputs here. Currently just favicon and assets. But here we go with pages. Nice. So let's see the index. Now obviously this is not working because it's provided from a static folder, but I'll fix that. I'm gonna point my IIS. So I got just one site in my IIS. And I have it on another window, but I'm just gonna point it to this one, yeah? Now I'm gonna restart it. And we can access this by going to localhost, just localhost. Nice, it works even with the night mode. Nice job. Okay, now when we have the project, okay. This is not working, interesting. /post/ a brief history of typography. Why is that not working? So post, this is .html. Obviously it's not gonna find it. /about me, contact me, that works. So let's see if this works. Oh, this works, that's interesting. So this is category. So category should have folders here, and those have index.html. But the posts, they are actually .html. So there should be folders as well and index.html underneath those folders. So maybe that's a small issue here. But that issue should not prevent us from storing the HTML of those files. Now, what I want to see is how are the styles added into the pages. So I'm just going to look at, okay, let's see the shared data. So we got partial async here, sidebar. We got the post here. I assume the post is using some kind of a layout, right? Here is a underscore layout. So I assume that all of the pages are using that. And I'm just interested in how styles are included here. So fonts are gonna work without no problems. But the problem is going to be with these things. With the init CSS and other things that are provided from our application, because these are not available on the public internet. And as such, I think it's going to be a problem with the PDF generator. So, but that's fine. We can work around it. Now, first of all, I'm gonna add the code from the previous version of the site to this one, right? So from the static starter content lumen mine, I'm gonna open the pipeline, the articles pipeline in Notepad, and that's the only thing I need now. And I'm gonna look at the articles pipeline here. So I'm looking for, okay, here it's called posts pipeline, right? So I'm gonna take a look at that and add my process module right after the render razor like we did the last time. So I'm gonna copy the whole thing here, execute config, so I want all of that, and put that here. So posts pipeline, input modules, process modules. Here's the render razor, you see? New post view model, new content image processor. So I assume this one. Okay, here we got the render razor. What does this do with local path? Okay, we can add ours after all these. There's gonna be new execute config, and we obviously need to add all the missing namespaces, right? So HTTP client, then we're gonna need the Newtonsoft JSON, we're gonna need system.txt, and we're gonna need system.io for memory stream. And that should be it. Now this should work just like that, I hope. We'll see. I'm just gonna try to run it. .NET run. And we're probably gonna need to do some tweaks then to get the styles in there. Okay, let's see. Okay, we got a problem here. This is not a content document. Set metadata items, render razor. This is not a content document. Feeds pipeline process, home pipeline process. Let's see. Home pipeline is based on the posts pipeline, homepage pipeline, and site metadata pipeline. So I assume what's happening is let's actually see if we got something here. Oh, not the mine one, but the original one. So let's take a look at output. Okay, that didn't work. So this is a breaking problem. So when the tags pipeline was processed, it gave me an error that this is not a content document. Okay, so what does this do? Feeds pipeline. We're looking at feeds pipeline. Feeds pipeline is based on the posts pipeline, which we changed. And what does this do? Set metadata items. Exception, blah, blah, blah. Post input as content. Okay, so that's the problem is probably coming from here. Now the problem is we're returning the two documents here, but we could probably just, so we're creating the document. Extension creates a document from system IO stream content sources. And we just want that document to be, okay, maybe this is not a good idea. So we got the document, which is a PDF, and we want that document to be stored, to be saved. And right now it's an output of this module, of this pipeline. And we only want that document number 1 to be outputted. So let's see what we can do about this. So output modules, new write files. So I guess in the feeds and home pipelines, we need to check. We need to check what kind of post we're getting. Yeah, I'm just thinking how we can do that. So in the context, if I'm not mistaken here, in the context, we have the file name, document destination. So let's see. We got the destination extension. Set metadata items. And we are generate feeds. So I guess this one, okay, now that makes sense. So this is generating the metadata items with feed title Lumen blog. So this is generating the RSS feed, I assume. Yeah. This is coming from static.feeds. Okay. So new replace documents. So I'm just trying to figure out how we can filter this. So dependencies, hash set string to array, pull documents from other pipelines. I'm just gonna have to open the documentation for static in this. So let's see, static.dev. Documentation. Static docs builds on, no, I actually want static.web and I want docs from the static.web. So here we go. In that deployment, we are looking at pipelines, content, data, maybe. Output start from pipeline. Okay, how do we templates? No, I don't care about data files. Okay, maybe this is in the framework then. Pipelines and modules, okay. Defining pipelines. Two properties can be used to specify dependency data of the pipeline. So dependencies is a hash set string that contains the names of pipelines that the current one depends on. That's this part. That makes sense. In other words, any pipeline name in the dependencies collection will be executed before the current pipeline is executed. If the current pipeline is specified, that's fine. So in other words, this pipeline has to be executed and finished before we can start this one. That's perfectly fine. Dependency of, yeah, that's fine. We don't need that. But what I need, module list and so on. Modules can be added. No, I don't want modules. I actually want to filter the documents. So what is the new replace documents for? Modules, pipelines, documents. Okay. Metadata values. Let's see. No, not what I want. Nope. So the thing is that I want to know what's the process module replace documents. So let's see, module patterns. Pass through, transformation, aggregation, splitting, concatenation, replacement. Okay. So these modules just replace the entire input set of documents with a different output set. The new documents may come from a sequence of child modules, of course. So the replace documents takes the pipelines as a string. Let's see if there are any viable, no. So what can we do here? So this replace documents basically takes whatever is in here, whatever is in the pipeline, and returns that as documents. But I guess what we could do is add a new replace documents here. Config enumerable documents. Now let me see the pipelines documentation again. How can a pipeline get documents in another way? You can add pipelines, so on. Read files? No, that's not what I want. Execution policy, no. No, modifying pipelines, no, that's not what I want. No, it has to be here. So the thing is, how do we change this? Dependencies to array. Generate feeds. Okay, I'm gonna do a Google search here. So static pipeline filter documents. Feeds. Filter documents from the feed pipelines based on source path. Let's see. Feed, let's see, define RSS item, RSS feeds. No, not what I want. That's not what I want at all. Static pipeline dependency filter. Execute destination, execute sources. Let's see what that's about. Okay, let's see here. It seems like an interesting article. So each pipeline, the documents are processed by pipelines. Each pipeline consists of one or more modules that manipulate the documents given to it by transforming, aggregating, filtering, or producing entirely new documents. So maybe I need to create a module for this. Aggregation, multiple input documents, combine them, no. Concatenation, no. Combination, no. I'm looking for filter, so I guess apply some sort of transformation to the input documents and output one result for each input. No, that's not what I want. Take documents, pass them on as the outputs, also not what I want. These modules take multiple input documents and combine them into a single output, also not what I want. Opposite behavior, these modules split each input document into multiple output, no. In this case, output documents are independent from the input documents, but instead of replacing the input documents, they are concatenated with them. No, not what I want. Just replace the entire input set of documents with a different output set. That sounds like something I want to do. So replacement module is the way to go. But I'm not sure where this is coming from. Replace documents. Replace documents in the current pipeline. So if I had a way how to get the current documents, maybe I do though. So this is just another process module, right? So we can we do like, can we get the data here somehow? Okay, let's start from the start. So modules implement the I module. Module, child documents module, read data module, execute context, execute config. Okay, so maybe you can try to use the execute config here as well. Let me see. So we got that in the posts pipeline. Yeah, let's try this one. Yeah, I think we can actually use this one. And if we just don't want to use the document, we can return an empty array or empty iDocument array. So here we're gonna use config from document. We're gonna check if the document destination extension equals PDF, or .pdf is the extension. Then we're gonna return new iDocument empty. Otherwise, we're gonna return new iDocument with the doc. And remove the rest. Okay, now this should effectively filter. What's the problem here? This async method elects a wait operator. Yeah, we don't need async here. This is a simple filter. Like I said, if this works, we should get the error from the home pipeline only. Okay, something's happening. Okay, here we go. So we got the error, that's fine, but we got the error only from home pipeline. That's exactly what I wanted. Perfect. So that means I only need the same thing to be in the home. Is it a home pipeline? Yeah, home pipeline. Now, wherever we are getting, so here we got the dependencies, posts pipeline, right? Replace documents, posts pipeline. And we only want those that are not PDF. Okay. Let's see. Let's try to run this again and we'll see. Okay, now this was, this went through without any errors. So let's see. Let's see, we got posts. Oh, nice, we got, look at that. So if we go to, was it localhost? When we go to localhost, this is probably not gonna work yet, that's still 404. But these things work. And if we look at this, nice. We got the page all working. Now, this is still not working. I don't know what's the problem there. But yeah, we got the PDFs generated. That's perfect. Now, obviously there are some, you know, some things. You're probably, if you want to do it like this, you probably want to create some kind of middleware that would take the HTML code and change some stuff before you generate the PDF, because obviously you don't want the all articles link here. And I still don't know why this doesn't work, why this image doesn't work, but we can take a look at that probably, because the HTML code is going to be the same as here. We can actually open this file, and the file is also not working here. So you see, it's a complete clone of that. And I want to see why the image doesn't work. So here we got /image/line Bible. So this is probably what's happening here. Okay, let me first see if the image is there. Yeah, the images are there. So it just means. So why doesn't it work? Okay, let me see once again. Because if Oh, okay, because I opened it like this. If I open it as localhost/posts, this is gonna work. This is also gonna have the image here. Now that's probably because we got the images from the headless CMS and store them locally, right? And I assume that's what the content image processor does. Now that's not something that I want here. So I'm wondering how we can do that. So I don't want, sorry, I don't want my images to be changed like that. At least for the PDF generation, you know? So let's see how this works. So this is a static module. Parameters is a filter function, you see? The module for further chaining. With local path, no, that's not what we want. Yeah, we could probably do new content image processor.skip. And here we can do a bool filter. So function string, the filter function return to skip a URL. Okay. I'm just gonna check to see how this really works. Through the skip a URL. Okay, this is not available. Okay, content.static. Let's see how this is implemented. Content.static. Here we go. You know, this is really handy. The search on GitHub is really cool. So we want to see content.static, and I'm looking for content image processor. So local base path, that's all fine. URL filter. Now I want to see where that is used. But this is filtering only the URLs of the images, so that's not good for me. No. What I want here, well, obviously I need to run it after this thing. And I want to execute it only for a certain documents. But I will probably need to make this another pipeline, or I'm gonna have to change the processor here, I'm afraid. Because right now it happens for all the posts, and as soon as I generate 2 posts here, I don't think I can filter that in scope of one pipeline and still have both of them be returned. Yeah, I probably have to create a new pipeline just for the articles. So in that case, we would end the posts. Pipeline here after we generate the two documents, and we would run the content image processor only on the HTML, not on the PDFs. Let me see how this one actually finds. Yeah, so it downloads the URLs. Yeah, he adds. So basically, he goes through. Yeah, he goes through all the files, downloads the files, and then replaces. Yeah, replacing image for a local path. Skip image, source set, regex. Parse HTML parser, yeah. So I'm afraid there is no way how to exclude. There is an execution context, but there is no way how to bypass certain documents, I'm afraid. So we could either skip all the images or some images, but we can't really skip some of the documents. Yeah. Yeah. So we can only skip images. Yeah. So that's unfortunate. We would have to create, as I said, we would have to create a new pipeline that would actually cover this, or we could run the image processor somehow manually. I don't know how we do that, but probably creating a new pipeline is a better thing to do. Right now, I'm just gonna remove this and try to run it again. This should fix the images. So we now should have the images correctly stored in the PDFs. I assume now it's waiting for the PDFs. Here we go. And we're finished. So let's take a look at posts. Here we go. Now you see the image is nice in the PDF. So this works. And the last part is actually to get the styles in place. Now, you see if we open a different file here, that the font is there, as far as I can say. Let's see here. Or actually here. Or is that not? It's actually a different font. How do I find what kind of font is used here? But it's not the same one as I'm using there. That's clear. So what we can do, not sure if we can actually do something about the font itself, but what we can definitely do, if we look at the pipeline again, what we'd have to do is, here we have the HTML, right? So what we could do is take a look at this. Where is the styles file? So we can look, we can create a regex there that would take, there is an init CSS. I assume that's what we are looking for. Let's check. Yeah, this is probably what we are looking for. Or at least that's the only thing that I'm seeing here. Init.css. Otherwise, we got fonts Google, that's fine. We got font here, that's the Fontello. And we got the dark mode here, that's not important. Yeah, I think we are fine. So the only thing we need to do is actually look for this part. Yes, reloaded. We need to look for this file. And we need to replace it. So we want this and replace it with style. We can do style type, text style, style sheet or style sheet. Let me see. So inline style HTML. CSS styles. Okay, they are not using anything, just style. So we're just going to use style to style. And we want to get the contents of this file and place it here. Yeah, so we're going to read this file and place it here. Now let's see how we can do that. So first of all, we want to find the file. Now, I'm not gonna write that myself, but I hope there is a tool. Okay, here we go. regexr. Yeah, this looks like a nice tool. So to test this, we want to match these HTMLs. So we want link, then we want anything but href. Then we want pretty much anything but the quote, at least once. Then we want the quote, anything as a few times as possible, and then finishing. Oh, we need to escape this, of course. Now this is what we want to match, and what we want to get is the first group. So this is what I want, right? From the link to find, oops, no, I did not want to do that. But what I want to get is just the name of the file, right? First, let me just quit this. Now we are looking at no JavaScript. No, I want C#, please. Oh, this is just, okay. This is just JavaScript and PHP. Okay. Regex body or regexer. .NET. Regex storm. Let's see if that works. So the pattern, I'm gonna copy that over. One match found. And we got the file here. Okay. Now what I want is the code from this. How do I find? Okay, now I always look for a test code from these regexers. So this one does not do it as well. Okay, let's see another one. .NET Pearls. I guess we could use this one. But I'll be, I always like to test these things, you know, because otherwise you're never sure if that really works. .NET. Okay, now this one. I think I used this one in the past. Let me try with Explorer. I remember using this one. It was quite a good one. Is this gonna work? Nope. Oh, it wants me to install Silverlight. Okay, let's find a different one then. Try the regex storm, but it's the is it the same one? Yeah, this is still the same one. Okay, I'm gonna try this then. No, not what I wanted to do. I'm gonna trust this code. And I'm gonna do it this way. So regex is a new regex. Let's call this style regex. Yep. Now we probably want to use it this way. Okay, he doesn't like this, obviously. Okay, so we got the new style regex, and then we want to match the file. match. So style regex match HTML. Now, if that is a success, and that's it should always be a success, but let's see if match success. Match.value, okay. So we can say that file name or style file name equals match.value. Now what we need to do is we need to get the contents of the file. So I guess we're gonna need file system stream. Read from our text file. That's what I want. Read all text. Now what we're gonna get is the path from the root of the project, right? So what we want let's try it actually. Maybe it'll work, but we are in the input folder, right? So we need to go to input/assets. So this is what we want. So styles. We want to do file read all text, and the path is going to be, in my case, slash. We can do, I think we can do also file.path or file.combine path. No. Okay, let's try to do it this way then. Input/input/. I guess we can do it this way. And style file name. I'm always confused how this works in JavaScript and how this works in C#. Maybe I'm wrong. C# com add variable to string. String format, we don't care about that. Yeah, it seems to be fine this way. Okay, so style file name, we'll see if that works. And string read all text, okay. And what we need to do is we need to replace that actually. So let's see if there is also a case here on .NET Pearls. Here it was, no, here, yeah. Replace. regex.replace, okay. So regex.replace. Okay, so we need the input, then we need what we want to replace it with. So we can do the same, and we need to replace the final HTML. Okay, so we can do HTML equals match replace. There's only the result. Okay, so we wanted to do the style regex replace, and that was the input file. So that's the HTML with style. Or let's call this style file content. So we fixed the HTML with the replace here. Still not sure if this is going to work, by the way. So I'm just going to put a breakpoint here. We can try to run this. And when we replace this, obviously we need to change this a bit. So this is only the style, but we also want not just the style, but we want the style tags as well. Like this. Let's put a breakpoint here as well. Now, when we change that style file content, we should get the styles inline into the file. And all should be good. We'll see in a second. Let me try to run this, and I'm going to try to debug this. Actually, put another breakpoint here to see if the match actually is a match. Okay, here we go. So we got the HTML here. Let's skip. Okay. It doesn't like that, so. Match is a success, okay. Okay, we're in async environment, so obviously this is gonna match a lot of times. Now here we go. So style file name is match value. Okay, so I need to select the right group here. So see the match value is the whole thing, not what we need. So let's stop this. So we can't do match like this. We only need to match a specific group. Match value, match groups one value. That's what we need. Match dot groups, because in the group 0 we got the whole thing, so we only want match one value. But the match works. That's a good good sign, and we can try to run it again. So start debugging. Okay, style file name is /feed RSS. Oh, is that a link to? That means my, oh, okay, not what I wanted to do. So we need to add a rel style sheet as well here, or the .css, but rel style sheet is probably gonna be better. So we don't need only link, because that goes for RSS too. But we also need to check for .css at the end. So this is probably the easiest. This should be escaped because we don't want that to match any character, but only the dot. And CSS is clear, but we also need to fix then in the style file name. This is going to be .css at the end. Now let's try to debug this again. Okay, here we go. So style file name is assets SCSS init. This is fine, I guess. So let's see if this is gonna work. Probably not. Could not find a part of the path Z input assets SCSS. Okay. Obviously, this is a problem because this does not contain the whole directory. So what we need is .NET Core get execution directory. Well, we actually want, the best thing we can get would be the output folder. Because I'm not sure if we have, let's see, in the input folder and assets and a CSS, we don't have the CSS file here. So we want the output folder and assets as CSS in its CSS. So this is the file that we want, right? So we don't want input, but output. And then the folder that's in the HTML file. Now here, we still need the execution directory, right? So let's see. Environment current directory. Path combine. Okay, that's much better. So let's do style file content here. Path combine. Environment current directory output, and then the style file name. Style file, let's call the style file path, and then style file content will be this part. And then we add the style tags. Content. Can't use local variable before it is declared. It is declared. Perfect. So let me just put a few breakpoints here and start this again. So I thought that the combine was in file namespace, but it's in path, which makes a lot of sense. It's just I haven't seen .NET for a long time that I didn't remember this. Okay, let's see. Here we go. So style file path is currently null, but file name is correct. So this should be fine. Style file path is /assets /css/init. This is weird. Yeah, exactly with number 1, but the path combine doesn't seem to work. Let's see. String path 1, path 2, path 3. That should be okay. So let's try to do it the old way. Current directory. Or actually do it this way. Current directory /output / the style file name. And .css, of course. Oh, this is on the path, but let's put it here. Anyway, and file read all text. This is obviously wrong. This should be style file path. It's right here. Oh, okay, he doesn't like this bracket here. Now we should be good. Okay, pipelines are working. Let's see. Okay, file name is fine. File content is null, that's fine, but style path is finally correct. Oh, but we got the slashes wrong. So /assets /css /init. Okay, now we're gonna fix that. Style file name, we're gonna do a replace Okay, character. With a new character. The backslash. All right, let's try it again. Oh, actually, one last thing. There is already the slash included, so we don't need an extra one there. Okay, here we go. So style file path is now perfectly fine. Output assets as CSS init CSS, perfect. So if we go through and try to get the data, the content is right here, awesome. Now the only thing we need to do is get the style file content here in style tags, which we right now have. And we need to change that in the HTML. Which we will see in the final file, hopefully. So I'm just gonna let it run. This still works, so that's nice. Okay, has exited with code 1. Why? Cannot access the file. This is being used by another. Okay, now this is my mistake. I left the file open, so obviously it couldn't store. The new one, but let's try to run this then using normal terminal. And we'll see if that works. The font is probably not going to work because we'd have to include the font in there as well. Not sure if we can also use extra fonts like this using the service, but the PDF file should definitely look a little bit better than it used to, as it should already have all the styles in. So let's see. Yeah, it looks a bit nicer, doesn't it? So you got all articles here still, but the headers look nicer. And overall, it's not like, a website from 90s, but you see all the styles are in place. No. And if we look at this at the website, that should be unchanged. So you see this still looks the same. The button is here. You see the button is very similar to the old one in the PDF file. Yeah. So you see this is it's not that hard to generate PDF files like this using the service. Obviously, if you want to use the special fonts as we have in this website, it gets a bit more complicated, but you see this is a font. I think this font is coming from Google Fonts, so maybe that still works. Otherwise, you're gonna be left with creating your own service to do that. And if you look at, where's the site? Yeah, if you look here, how many times did I already generate a PDF? So I did that 46 times, not that bad. But you see, during the development, I'm quickly going towards the limit to 50, and then I'm gonna have to start paying. But this is really easy to use, really convenient to not have to do anything more. But then again, if you're happy to invest a day of development into your own app, and you're happy to host it on Azure or somewhere, it's in the long run, if you want to do this on a real website and want to generate PDFs like this, then it's probably better alternative, as this can be quite expensive over time. And over time, you will get back the investment of spending time on creating a service like this on your own. I'm not sure if you can do this in .NET Core though. We were doing some research on this and found that all the libraries that are capable of turning an HTML into PDF had to be run on a standard .NET framework. So I'm not sure if you can do this with .NET Core. That's why I'm always saying create a service, because I'm assuming that would be a web API service or a serverless function, that would turn HTML input into a PDF. But definitely not something that would take you weeks or months. All right, I don't see any questions here, guys. And I think that this is a nice end result for today. So thanks for joining. Thanks for looking at this. You see, I'm really happy with this. This really looks nice. And I did all of this in 1.5 hours. So I think it's a nice result. So thanks for watching. If you have anything, a use case that you're trying to achieve, a use case that you would want me to try and resolve, let me know. You can find me on Twitter. The handle is Ondrabas. And if not, then I'll see you in a week on Thursday at 4 p.m. So thanks for watching and see you then.